Welcome back, people. Tonight we are talking about the week's action with Tesla. So how has Tesla been treated this week in the stock market? Not very well, that's to say the least. If we look at Tesla from Monday up until right now, down by around 10%. Not the worst, but it is still pretty bad. Today we are seeing another red day. Big sell-off action today, we can see down by a further 4%. In the past month, things are again down, so things really not looking great for Tesla. A 9.2% decrease in the past month. Things were looking strong from the 8th of March, but actually this wasn't to last as the share price did continue to sell off in the past few days. One thing I think is worth noting is the amount of growth Tesla has seen both in the past 6 months and in the past year, basically. So again, if we're looking at Tesla in the past 6 months, we're seeing this big spike in price. Now, Tesla has obviously been a very stable growth stock that people have been looking to for months, if not years. People have been seeing Tesla rocketing and rocketing and rocketing continuously. I think Tesla is a good company. I honestly do. I think their cars are pretty decent. They're already on the road. That is a major advantage which they have against a lot of other manufacturers, but other manufacturers is something which we are going to briefly touch on in this video, because if you may have been reading the news recently, you might know about this news from Volkswagen, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But yeah, Tesla in the past 6 months still doing decently. However, you can see on the charts, looking towards the past 2 or 3 weeks, we really are giving away some of our gains. Now up by 46%, which is still big, but if we look at this one from the highs, we were up over 110%. So a massive loss on Tesla of about 27% from those previous highs. And if we look out a bit further and look at this one over the past 5 years, let's say, we can see that throughout 2020, the share price went from $86, and let's bear in mind that this was under a split, and I think that is worth noting. So obviously at the time, it wasn't worth $80. Obviously, Tesla underwent a share split in 2020. So share price back in that time period wasn't actually $80. It was much higher than that, but this is adjusted for the share split, and I just thought I would note that. So yeah, Tesla has obviously still rocketed from this price of about $86, again accounted for the split, all the way up to the highs that we are seeing now, up 883%, and again up by about $740 to these highs. I think this really is worth noting. 2020 was an insane year for Tesla, and again, a company like Tesla, no matter how decent it is, these aren't really the type of companies or the type of stocks which do receive growth like this, so it is pretty cool that Tesla has been rocketing so much. But I think, as people have been commenting for months now, Tesla, it was kind of overhyped. I think no matter how good the company is, it was kind of in a bit of a bubble. And I think that bubble has kind of come down a little bit. I think the stock is kind of correcting at the moment, which isn't bad either. So again, looking at this current position, I think we are in a bit of a correction for Tesla. Now, what doesn't help Tesla at all is the general market trend at the moment. Russell 2000 tracks 2,000 of the smallest stocks in the United States. That is down in the past 5 days. It is pretty flat in the past month, but it is still up by about 0.1%. The S&P 500 is actually green for the past 5 days, I do believe. Only just though again, so this one hasn't really grown too much this week, and we were seeing big dips throughout that time period. In the past month though, this one is still up by a further 4%, which is pretty decent for the S&P, right? Obviously this is a index, it's not really going to move by too much anyway. And if we quickly move over looking at the Dow Jones, we can see Dow Jones this month is up massively. Dow Jones as a percentage would be up right now by about 6.7%. And again, doesn't sound like too much, but it is a stock market index, and they don't really move by too much anyway, because this one tracks 30 of the most stable United States companies anyway, so you can imagine it wouldn't really move by too much. But Tesla has obviously been outperforming the market for so long now, a few months, if not a few years. I think the time has come where Tesla's price is coming down a little bit. Now again, I am not even too worried about this one. I think Tesla at some point was bound to see a bit of a correction, and that is not bad. I think from a fundamental standpoint, Tesla is very decent. I like what Tesla does. Their electric cars are already on the street, and again, this is something which a lot of other manufacturers don't have, and if they do have it, they don't have it to the scale of Tesla, right? I live in the United Kingdom. I'm sure a lot of you guys may live in the United Kingdom or the United States, and I'm telling you what, guys, when you're going down the street, it's like every 5th car is a Tesla. It's absolutely ridiculous. And bear in mind, this is like a startup company. I mean, yes, the company's established now. Market cap for the company is about 588 billion, but let's face it, 10, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have ever never heard of Tesla cars, right? And they wouldn't have been taken seriously even if you would have. So to see Tesla all over the place is remarkable. I think it is just a testament to Elon Musk and the amount of work that he puts in with Tesla and of course everything that he does. But now the question is, reading the news articles briefly, that companies like Volkswagen are apparently going to be catching up with Tesla. Well, I think this is a very interesting argument. I think it's a very interesting argument indeed. Obviously, just the other day or the other week, Volkswagen stock actually rocketed, and I think this is interesting. I think Volkswagen is, well, we already know that Volkswagen is a very, very large automotive player. If we look at some of the companies which Volkswagen own, they own a lot of other car brands. They own companies like Bentley, I do believe. They own Lamborghini, Bugatti, Audi as well. They own Seat. You know, they own so many different car brands. You may or may not be aware of their models. Of course, they have cars like the Golf, which sell very well. They have the Jetta. They have the CC, to name a few, the Passat. So you can imagine a lot of Volkswagen cars, and right now these cars are doing amazing when it comes to sales. Now, when these cars come to electric, the price of Volkswagen cars already is pretty cheap in comparison to Tesla. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head how much it is to buy a Tesla, but it is an expensive amount of money. It's like 40 grand to buy a Tesla here in the United Kingdom. And again, if you look at Tesla compared to, for example, an electric Volkswagen Passat, it's obviously going to be a lot more expensive. Now, this is something which I have spoken about many a time before. I think Tesla does have a real big brand appeal. I think where Tesla is from a brand standpoint is amazing. I think people really do look up to Tesla and idealize their cars, which is kind of a good thing for Tesla. Again, what could really help them going forwards, and I think it is something that they probably will do in the future, is if they were to add a smaller car to their lineup. I think this really could help Tesla going forwards, because again, right now the Tesla Model 3 is one of the most prevalent electric cars. I think it was the best selling electric car of last year, and you can see why. It's fairly cheap, even though it is expensive. For an electric vehicle, it's fairly cheap, it's quite practical, and it's of course got that T on the front, which means it's a Tesla, and people love that. So Tesla was doing amazing for the past few years, and honestly I think this is going to continue. But obviously when it comes to competitors, I think that competitors kind of have an advantage in some ways. I think obviously a lot of competitors also have brand appeal, and this is something which I've spoken about for months now. Obviously not Volkswagen, because you know their cars, whilst they are pretty cool, they're not that amazing. I'm saying when it's cars like Ferrari, Lamborghini and all of these cars, when these become electric, I think is when Tesla's kind of going to have a shift when it comes to its, you know, brand appeal. In the sense that, obviously, if you were to have, say, for example, a Rolls-Royce, which was electrically powered, and a Tesla, which was electrically powered as well, obviously the brand appeal for Tesla is kind of gone in that scenario. So a lot of people are worried about the competitors for Tesla, and I think that is a fair argument. But I think it's also fair to say that Tesla is more than established in the current market sector. I think what we are seeing now is a bit of a correction in Tesla's share price, and again, not the worst thing in the world. Sometimes shares which rocket like this do need to come back to earth now and again, just to kind of correct and get a lot of these people who are taking profits to just get out of the stock. I think that's fine. I think a lot of the market hasn't been doing too well for the past 2 or 3 weeks anyway, and I think where we are with Tesla isn't that bad. So would I consider Tesla a buy right now? Absolutely not. And you could be asking the question, well, why would I not consider Tesla a buy right now if I've just said all of these amazing things about the company? And again, this is not financial advice, it's just my opinion, but I think where we are with Tesla, it's hard to say, it's very hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised if this one was to continue to sell off by a little bit. And you know what, even if it is to go back into the green, say Monday, I would still leave it a day or two before I was to buy Tesla stock. I think the company's fundamentals are decent, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how decent the company's fundamentals are. We want to get the stock for the best price, right? That's just a logical thing to say. So for that reason, I would say that I would leave Tesla for at least 2 or 3 days just to see where the market goes. I think if you're buying Tesla, it's still a hold for the next 5 to 10 years in my opinion. And I still think that the growth potential for Tesla and their cars and their business market is extremely large. Again, people thinking about Tesla for vehicles, and that is what they mainly focus on. But let's face it, now we have Tesla for charging as well. We have Tesla insurance, Tesla solar panels. It's more than just the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and of course all of the other cars. It's more than that nowadays, and I think that is worth noting. So I spoke about Tesla a lot in this video. I just wanted to recap on what we have been seeing share price wise, and of course in the company's business structure, because a lot of people have been talking about that recently as well. So there we go. Tesla on the candlesticks as well is kind of pulling itself back up today. Candlestick today is red, we can see apparently. However, the wick towards the downside is pretty low. Again, this shows a lot of buying pressure. The candlestick is still pushing itself up. And yesterday's candlestick was ever so slightly green. This one is finishing up ever so slightly higher than yesterday's again, so fantastic. And I would love to see Tesla open up on Monday in the green and continue to be in the green for the majority of Monday. Thank you for joining me for this video, guys. I'll see you again on Monday, hopefully looking at Tesla, and again tonight as well on multiple other videos looking at other stocks. So I'll see you then. Goodbye, and make sure to view those videos. See you soon.